Hello everyone, and welcome back to Teaching English to Kids, a journey of fun learning. I'm your host, Paola Pando. You look out your class and you see a whirlwind of different levels. In one corner, a child is constructing full sentences, and in another one, a student is still mastering hello and goodbye. You have one lesson plan, but 20 different needs. Sound familiar? Teaching a mixed ability class can feel like one of the biggest challenges we face. But what if we could reframe it? What if instead of a problem, we saw it as our greatest opportunity to truly reach every single child? That's exactly what we are tackling today in episode 8, Reaching Every Learner. We'll explore the science of individual differences, and I'll give you a toolkit of simple and sustainable strategies to ensure every student in your room is both supported and challenged. But as usual, let's recap a little bit and reframe the challenge for today. In our last episode, we talked about the power of music to unite a classroom. Today, we are focusing on how to personalize learning within that united group. First, let's reframe this. A mixed ability class isn't a sign that you are doing something wrong. It's a sign that you are teaching unique individual human beings. As the renowned psychologist Vygotsky, he taught us decades ago that learning is a social process that happens at different rates for everyone. Our goal isn't to get everyone to the same place at the same time, but to move each child forward from their own zone of proximal development. You know, that sweet spot between what they can do alone and what they can achieve with support. But why are classes so mixed? The reasons are rooted in both neuroscience and educational psychology. First, we have cognitive processing speed. In neuroscience, like the work of psychologists such as John Anderson on adaptive control of thought, shows that our brains process and consolidate new information at different rates. For one child, a new word might stick after 2 exposures, but another one might take 10 meaningful interactions to consolidate. This isn't about intelligence, it's about the natural variation in our neural wiring. I want to stay here for a while and go deeper into cognitive processing speed and its profound implication for ELT, since it allows us to move from one-size-fits-all model to a truly brain-friendly approach. So what are the direct implications for ELT of this cognitive processing speed? First, we need to unpack the concept. So what's cognitive processing speed? It refers to the rate at which an individual can take in a piece of new information, make sense of it, and begin to formulate a response. In neurological terms, it's the efficiency and speed of electrical transmission along neurons and across synapses. John Anderson is pivotal here. It poses that knowledge is of 2 types, declarative and procedural. Declarative means that the word apple refers to a red fruit, and procedural is how to use the word apple in a sentence. The process of moving a skill from slow, conscious, declarative knowledge to a fast, automatic procedural knowledge is called proceduralization. I'm sorry, you know that I'm not a native speaker, so these very long words are not that easy for me. So it's called proceduralization. So what is the key difference? A child with a faster cognitive processing speed will process I like, plus new vocabulary word much more quickly than a child with a slower speed. Their neural pathways for that language structure are paved and made efficient with fewer repetitions. The slower processor isn't less intelligent, their brain simply requires more high quality practice to build the same robust neural highway. Did you understand? So that's number one. So we need to understand what's cognitive process speed. So we have fast learners and we have slower ones. But it doesn't mean that they are not smart enough. They are processing the information in a different way. What is number two? The critical link to language acquisition, that is from input to intake. So here we have Stephen Krashen, who distinguished between input, so the language students are exposed to, and intake, the part of the input that actually contributes to acquisition. So cognitive processing speed is a primary gatekeeper for intake. A student with a slower processing speed may be surrounded by rich comprehensible input. You know, a comprehensible input is I plus 1. But if the flow of information is too rapid, their brain cannot efficiently select and process the new plus 1 before the next piece of input arrives. What is the result? Cognitive overload, where the new language washes over them without being acquired. What is number 3? Practical implication and strategies for this ELT classroom. So understand these, we can deliberately design our classroom to be processing speed friendly. See? How? First of all, we need to understand the myth. I teach so they will learn. That's a myth. See? The strategy is make different kind of things by doing a lot of repetition and recycling. This is something that we have mentioned in several podcasts before. See, repetition and recycling. Do not teach a set of 10 food words on Monday, then practice them on Tuesday and test them on Friday, and expecting universal mastery. No, instead of that, you have to plan for a spiral recycling. So for example, teach 5 core words more deeply. In the next unit, for example, family, bring those words back and put it in context so the students can see those words and expressions all the time. What does your brother like to eat? That's another thing you have to do is use brain breaks and wait for the response. See, a 5-second or 7-second pause allows slower processors to formulate a response, increasing their participation and confidence. So you have to wait a little bit. So what is implication 1? I teach so they will learn? Not true. So you have to do a lot of repetition and recycling. Integrate vocabulary and grammar structure, functional language all the time in the new units. See? So you have to use a plan for spiral recycling. What is implication 2? The need for some processable input. You have to control the pace and scaffold listening. So do not speak at a natural pace, rapid pace, or play complex songs or videos without any kind of preparation. Instead of that, you have to use teacher slowing. See? Consciously slow your speech during instruction, especially when introducing new language. You have to use pauses and emphasize on some words or structure. I think you notice that I speak a little slow. I don't speak very fast. Why? Because first of all, I'm not a native speaker in English. And second, I have been teaching English for more than 25 years in the classroom. And I know that you have to slow your pace. See? During instruction and pause, emphasize on some pauses and things like that. What is another one? Scaffold audios and videos. See, you have to pre-teach keywords. We can connect this idea with some previous episodes, remember that we have discussed about prior knowledge. We have to activate prior knowledge. And in activation of prior knowledge, I remember that I told you to pre-teach keywords. See? For a listening exercise, play the audio once for guests, then a second time with pauses to discuss what they have heard. Provide visual transcripts for support. This gives a slower processor the extra exposures they need in a meaningful context. I know that maybe some of you were taught that just listening, only listening, and not written support. But for slow learners or slower processors, that is the correct concept, it's much better if they listen and read at the same time. See, they can process the information better. And what is the third implication? The inefficiency of lockstep drills. So implement tire practice and flexible grouping. Do not have the whole class repeating a chorus of a new chant 10 times in a row. The fast processors are bored by repetition 5, and the slow processors are only just starting to get. What do you have to do instead of that? You have to use the tire activity model from the script. See? Group A, for example, fast processors, after 2-3 chants, their task is to change the vocabulary in the chant. And they have to add new information. They have to modify some things with words and expressions they have already learned. Group B, that they are slower processors, their task is to continue practicing the original chant, but with picture support. Perhaps recording themselves to hear their own pronunciation. This ensures that all students are engaged in productive practice, but they are doing it at their own processing level. What about implication 4? Evaluation. See, assessment must be process aware. What is the strategy in this case? You have to use different assessment methods. So here we have universal design of learning that probably I will discuss with you next episode. And I love that. I think it's the best in education. So please do not rely solely on timed tests or rapid fire questioning, which is disadvantage for slower processors. See? Instead, offer multiple ways to demonstrate knowledge. A fast processor might excel in a spontaneous role play, no problem for them. But a slower processor, giving time to prepare, they might produce a more accurate, maybe, and complex written sentence or a pre-recorded video response. This assesses their language knowledge, not just their processing speed, because finally that is our goal. So children must demonstrate that they must show how much they have learned, how much they are able to do things in English. See? So that's why evaluation must point to that goal. See? Not the knowledge, but the processing speed. So a conclusion for this first part. So your teaching philosophy of this part of the episode must be recognize the role of cognitive processing speed and transform our role from a delivery of curriculum to a builder of neural pathways. Our job is not to rush the brain, but to provide it with the right quality and quantity of meaningful, engaging, and appropriate paced input it needs to build its own unique English language network. This is the ultimate application of Vygotsky's idea. We meet the child where their brain is and help them build the next. See? So we are part of that solid bridge. There are two more issues, but we won't go deep on them. However, they will be included in the recommendation and strategies for our beloved classroom. Another one is the working memory capacity. We are not going to go deep in that concept, but I have to mention that. So the working memory capacity, these studies include those by Tracy Packiam Alloway, have highlighted that a child's working memory, that means their mental workspace, is a strong predictor of academic success. A student with a smaller working memory might struggle with multi-step instructions that their peer finds easy, not because they aren't trying, but because their cognitive load is maxed out. See? So working memory capacity, it's something that can influence in English language teaching as well as any kind of learning. Another one is background knowledge and exposure. You know that a student who hears English at home or has traveled has a different starting point than one for whom English is completely new. This connects directly to the schema theory. The more existing mental framework a child has, the easier it is to attach new information to them. That is why we need to introduce English as a second language in early years. Most of our students are not exposed to this language out of the classrooms. At least this happens in Latin America. Don't know in your countries, but you know that the input, the exposure, the context, the time and opportunities to practice is the key of English language acquisition. So we know that when our students have a background knowledge and exposure in their families, they normally perform better than other ones. Good. So let's go to practice. See, how do we practice this in our classroom? First, we don't create 10 different lesson plans. We create one flexible lesson with built-in differentiation. Here, there are two of the most powerful strategies you can use in your classroom. The first one, tier activities. This means all students work on the same core content and skills, but at different levels of complexity and support. For example, after reading a story, like any you have chosen, Tier 1, emerging. Your goal is vocabulary recognition. Their task is to match picture cards of the food to the word. The focus is on comprehending and producing single words. So that is emerging part. But what about developing? In that case, your goal is simple sentence construction. Their task is to use the vocabulary to complete a sentence frame. For example, you say, on Monday, he ate and fill the blank. See, that is in blank. The focus is on a key grammar chunk. That is developing. But extending, and in that case, you are talking about your fast processors. Your goal is creative language. Their task is to write or tell a new sentence about what the caterpillar, in case of the very hungry caterpillar, ate on another day, using a new self-selected word. The focus in this case is on fluency and creativity. See? So you have 3 different types of activity in your classroom after reading the same story for everyone. Let's review. First, emerging. So your goal is vocabulary recognition, probably for slower processes. Better. Developing. Your goal is simple sentence construction, a little bit more complex. They have to focus on grammar chunks. And extending, much more focus on fast processors. Your goal is creative in language. That is strategy 1. What is strategy 2? Flexible learning stations. So this breaks the class into small groups, each with a different task focused on a different skill. So for example, you have a 3-stage rotation on animals. So station 1, teacher-led. A small group works with you. Here you can provide direct and target instruction. For your emerging students, you might be practicing animal sounds. And for your extending students, you might be describing animal habitats. See, this is where you personalize the most. But you can have a second station. That's collaboration. A group works together on a task, like, playing an animal vocabulary board game or creating a habitat poster. Peer support is built in this case. And station 3, independent. So a group works alone on a task that reinforces the lesson, like an animal word search, that is also for emerging, or write 3 sentences about your favorite animal task, for extending. See, this structure ensures that every child gets what they need: teacher attention, peer interaction, and independent practice, and all at their own level. Did you get it? So we have different kind of activities: emerging, developing, and extending, but also you have stations in which you are in charge, normally for slower processors, but also you have students who are collaborating, working together, and another ones that are very independent. And everyone is working based on the same objective. See? Good. So managing a mixed ability class isn't about achieving perfect uniformity. It's about creating a classroom ecosystem that is flexible enough to nurture every kind of learner. By using tailored activities and flexible grouping, you stop teaching to the mythical middle or average and start celebrating the unique journey of every student. Next week, we are going to look at one of the most powerful tools for differentiation, and one of my favorite ones, when I discovered that, the universal design of learning. At the beginning, it might sound difficult to implement in your classroom, but when you start doing it and get used to planning your classes that way, it's much easier than anything you have done before. That's because you will have students highly motivated and more independent every day. As usual, guys, if this episode made you feel more empowered, please share it with a fellow teacher who could use these strategies in their classrooms. Remember, a garden is beautiful not because all the flowers are the same, but because they are all different. So keep nurturing the garden in your classroom. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a lovely day, week, and month. Bye everyone.